Shemai Sitahi Kroisoi Chris Dowie. What is cracking, ladies, boys, girls, gents, anyone who is watching this video? Well, today we are talking about the 19th book in the Wizards series of Fighting Fantasy, and we're talking about Temple of Terror. Now, I'm not very well again. It's like the second time in like 2 months I've come down with something. Once again, I don't think it is the coof. I think it's a little bit of a cold, a little bit of a flu. So my voice might sound a little bit different. If it does, well, you know, it's just one of those things, you know. But let's get back to the story. So we're talking about Temple of Terror. This bad boy is written by Ian Livingstone. Presumably, I say presumably, it was published back in the 80s, republished back in the early 2000s, and I honestly don't think it's been published under Scholastic. So I've just checked, and it hasn't been republished under Scholastic, which is going to make things easier when we judge the covers, because Scholastic usually gets a kick in and ends up dead last. So we've mentioned the covers. Should we just talk about them, get over and done with? I think we should. So first things first. We have the old Puffin cover. Now the Puffin cover is actually pretty cool. It's got what is he? He's like a snake man, snake warrior kind of dude. He looks actually quite scary. Unfortunately, I don't know. A Temple of Terror. Oh, does he look like he's in a temple? He looks intimidating. It actually looks pretty cool. It could very well have been something they could have redone for the Wizards cover. Maybe just given it that early 2000s kind of aesthetic where it just looks kind of bad but nostalgic. You know, it's a double-edged sword. I quite like this cover. It's very reminiscent of that old era of Warhammer illustrations, which I say that no, I don't know if they had the same artists, and I'm not gonna look. So yeah, we got the Puffin cover. I quite like the Puffin cover. Like I said, it's got the snake, it's got the sandy like little floor. It sets the scene quite well. But the next one we have, well, we got the Wizards cover, haven't we? I don't know why I was looking through them. We have the Wizards cover. Now, this cover has like a green guy. I believe the guy's called Mal Borders. Now, he's had a tough upbringing, but that's honestly about it, my guys. It's got this guy's face in it, and yeah, it is kind of spooky, but like, it doesn't really give you any insight as to what the story's about, other than this green guy. And yeah, that's about it, my guys. And I think, honestly, personally, although this is the cover I had when I was younger. I mean, nostalgia is there, but like, I don't know. The cover seems a bit lackluster now that I'm holding it in my hand. And this is the thing. This, say I'm holding a book in my hand. I am shaking the book in my hand. This was the very first Fighting Fantasy book I ever had, I do believe. And I remember reading it back in 2000, and I think it was 2006. And yeah, I really like this book. But if I had to judge the covers, unfortunately, I think it would go first to Puffin, second to Wizards, and then obviously, well, I think if Scholastic did republish this book, they would come third. So yeah, we've spoken about the covers. Let's talk about the story. So you see this bad boy on a shelf in a bookshop, and you pick it up, turn it around. It says, "The dark, twisted power of the young Malbordus is reaching its zenith. All he needs now is to retrieve the 5 dragon artifacts which have been hidden for centuries in the lost city of Vatos, somewhere in the Desert of Skulls. Each day that passes brings him closer to them, and only you can stop him. Your mission is to reach the lost city before Malbordus and destroy the treasure that he seeks. But beware, each step you take leads you closer to your doom." And, you know, that sounds quite ominous, not gonna lie. It sort of gives you the impression there's a day system in the book, and it tells you that you have to collect dragons. It doesn't tell you outright, but you do have to collect dragons. It is, it's an alright summary of the story, to be brutally honest with you. It is an alright summary of the story, because what you're gonna find out most of the story is you just wandering, you know, in this, like, I don't want to call it a desert, because obviously you go into the temple itself, but it's like, it's all that environment, you know, it's hot, it's sandy, it's kind of gross, it's everything that I hate, and that's why I don't go on holiday, because, well, I couldn't go on holiday to anywhere hot, you know, somewhere where it's wet and rainy. Oddly enough, it sounds a bit boring, but yeah, can't stand the heat, can't stand sand, but I do actually love this adventure, and I tell you why. It's just quite wholesome. It's a wholesome, lovely adventure. There's a really, really good mechanism in this game, in this book. The Messenger of Death, he sort of comes up to you, he taps you on the shoulder, he caresses your cheek, and he gently whispers the word death into your ear before disappearing. Now this guy, he's like an assassin or something. He's like a paid slayer. I don't want to use the K word because that's a different story. But yeah, he's a paid assassin. His job is to slay you, and he likes to do it with like a little game where he's hidden around the words. Well, he's spelled out death, and he's hidden all the individual letters around the temple. And if you find all of them, you unfortunately get game over. It is what it is. It's kind of creepy to think that this like creepy looking fella's following you through the temple. I love it personally, but that's about it. You know, it's how do I describe it, mate? The story, the adventure itself is actually alright. It's pretty fun because this is the very first book that I ever had. You know, I sort of remember a lot of it, so a lot of it is just sort of sunk in as stuff that, you know, doesn't really mean a lot. You got like a good few skeletons that, you know, look pretty cool. Some rat men who are pretty cool. It's how do I describe it? It's that very stereotypical sort of like Middle Eastern adventure where you got a lot of like rooms covered in like silk curtains that you pull away, and then you got like these fat, bald, shiny people in there. It's very stereotypical of well, stereotypes, I suppose. And I'm aware that I used the same word in two different variations and I wasn't really getting anywhere, but the question is, are these stereotypes okay? I don't know. Personally, I think I could rise above it, but at the end of the day, it's not a stereotype that regards me. But this is the thing, you know, stereotypes aside, let's talk about the adventure, I suppose, and your main goal is to find these dragons and slay whatever his name is. It's something awkward, isn't it? Borders. That's your goal. You just gotta get the dragons, slay the guy, save the day, win all of the adventures. Actually, yeah, no, you just gotta do that, you know. And the dragons themselves, it's very stereotypical of you know, an old. I say an old, all the books are old. It's very stereotypical of a fighting fantasy where you just have to collect loads of items, slay loads of creatures, survive the traps, and I suppose avoid the Messenger of Death, who's just sort of creepily stalking you. But it is actually a surprisingly fun adventure. It is very wholesome. It's just that warm, fun kind of thing. Because you get a lot of adventures, in my opinion, where it's just sort of lackluster. It's very, you know, you're reading them, it's like none of this sort of feels as if it's organic. So, what am I talking about? Citadel of Chaos gave me those exact feelings. It just wasn't very organic. You have a lot of creatures who don't really belong together in the same sort of environment. Same thing goes to Forest of Doom, where the ecosystem, the monster ecosystem, just wasn't very good. In this one, everything sort of makes sense. You know, you got rat men, but it is in like this creepy dark temple. You've got like giant insects. That sort of makes sense. You've got skeletons wearing like goofy sort of like knockoff Egyptian wear. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. I can get that. You know, in this one, you're not going to be swarming with pterodactyls and giants in the middle of the desert that make, like, you know, no sense. You know, you got some wacky sort of like beholder kind of creatures. I don't think it's called a beholder. It's called like I can't remember. If I can flick to it straight away, I'll tell you what it is. Oh, I just did it. It's sort of like this floating eye. What's it called? The eye stinger. No, the eye stinger was pretty cool. It's like a floating eye, like I said, but it's trying to make eye contact with you. It's like, what you want to do? Do you want to attack it? Do you want to whap out an item for your inventory? And you know, first, like, yeah, if it's your first encounter, you're gonna be like, yeah, let's pull out, let's see what I've got. And if you got a mirror, you can show it your mirror. That makes sense, right? But no, the mirror doesn't actually affect it. And this is an encounter that I remember from like way back when, back like 2006, because it just blew my mind. It's like, why didn't this work? But what you need is actually like an egg, and I don't personally understand why, but it was just a really cool encounter. But unfortunately I did deviate. The thing is, right, with this adventure there really isn't much to it, I feel. And I feel as I'm reading more and more fighting fantasy books, there just isn't a lot to them. It's a fun adventure, but yeah, you're traveling through a little temple, you're fighting cool monsters, you're jumping into cool mechanics. The magic mechanic in this one, you sacrifice your stamina to use spells. So I'm not. Presumably, you could game over yourself just by using your magic, which I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. If I had to play through the game again, I don't know if I'd use the stamina thing. I think I might just get rid of it, because at the end of the day, if you jump over a pit and you need to use your magic, you really shouldn't just land and instantly die. It feels weird. I don't know. In the comments, if you think that's fair, leave a comment. But yeah, the adventure itself is very, simple. There's not like a whole lot to say. I don't dislike it, so there's nothing really to hate on. It's just pretty good, It's pretty good. You got like a lot of set pieces that stand out. For instance, there's a part where I'm under the assumption you fly in on a bird. Because this is one of the bits that I really loved as a child, but I could never remember what you're flying on. I think you're flying on a bird and you get attacked by either a pterodactyl or like another bird. And I thought that was really cool, because if you fall out, well, if you fall off, you die. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. It's one of those things that sort of sticks with you in other adventures. You sort of assume that another creature's going to attack you in the air, and that's pretty cool. You've got like a lot of like sand creatures, and I don't know about you, but I think that the desert is quite scary. It's pretty cool. It's just a very nice adventure that feels like you're going away from home. And I don't know. Oh, and what's his face? Yastromo makes a return in this book. And Yastromo is one of my favourite characters because of this book, which I thought was quite nice. Well, I don't know, it's kind of weird because what is it? Number 19 being my favourite book. I've read the other 18 now, so I've encountered him too many times. But yeah, it was just nice seeing him again, because this was the book that sort of introduced me to Yastromo as a character, and I thought he'd be a reoccurring character in all of them, but no, he's unfortunately not. But at the end of the day, I do think I'm waffling on a little bit, ladies and gents. I do think I've gone on a tangent, so I'm just going to summarise the story, the adventure, the characters. All in all, I think the adventure itself is actually pretty good. It's really nice, it's good. It is very, it's your simple, it's your average adventure where you just got to collect items. In this case, it's like these little dragon icons. But yeah, the adventure is nice. The enemies, the ecology, the ecosystem, all the creatures seem to fit together. None of them stand out as being particularly weird. You have like sort of like genies, you have all that stuff, and yeah, I suppose a lot of it might be quite stereotypical, but at the end of the day, this book was originally written back in the 80s, where a lot of stereotypes that wouldn't be accepted today were accepted more back then. It's one of those things where it's maybe if this was written again in what year is it, 2021, you might find a lot less stereotypical encounters, but I don't know, I quite like the ones in here. Nothing twangs on it being quite offensive. It's stereotypical, but in a cool way, I suppose. If you catch my drift, if you read the book, you'll understand. So all the creatures fit together, the adventure itself fits together, the items, the bog standard items, what significance do they have? I don't know, but this guy wants them, so I must get them first. That's about it for all of them. How does it fit into the world? The Fighting Fantasy universe. It fits alright, to be honest with you. None of the books really connect that much. You got Yastromo. He's like a reoccurring character in a lot of them. That's about it, guys. Mal, what's his name? It's sort of silly, isn't it? Mal Borders doesn't really pop up in any previous books that I'm aware of. Maybe he pops up again in some later books that I haven't touched on yet. But I don't recall ever seeing him mentioned in any of the previous books. Yastromo, like I said, does pop up. This book is actually part of the universe. But like, this book doesn't actually feel connected to any of the other ones, which I suppose is good in a way, because the Puffin and the Wizard reprints, they're not in the same order. So if this was like a prequel or a sequel, it would be out of order in the Wizard reprints. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's about it, guys. There's not a whole lot to say. I enjoyed this book. I will admit that this is one of the books that I read so many times when I was young. So just like Point Moment of Fear, it's more of a nostalgic chat, because this feels so normal to me, this book. It just feels like walking through the park. Unfortunately, there are going to be stuff that I didn't mention because it's just like, oh, it is what it is. I do apologise for that. But yeah, if I had to rate this book, well, on Goodreads I gave it a 5 out of 5 because I'm simple like that. But yeah, in my opinion, it is. It is a 5 out of 5. It is a solid adventure. There isn't there's like not really anything that sticks out as being noticeably bad. It's just a good adventure with cool mechanics, cool enemies, and yeah, if you win, you saved the day. Good for you, boys. So yeah, would I recommend this book? Yeah. Unfortunately, if you want to get it, you probably have to resort to like eBay, the second-hand bookseller, something like that. But you know, it's not going to cost you much. It's not going to be an arm and a leg. I don't think this is one of the books where eBay sellers will try to gouge you, which is pretty good. Thankful about that. But yeah, you know, support, I suppose, second-hand book resellers. Jump on eBay, get a copy, and you're good to go. Would I recommend this over... Well, no. If it's a choice between eating and having this book, obviously eat first. But if you have got the money spare, totally pick it up. It is a good adventure. And that's about it, guys. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you actually watched to the end, you might notice my voice is... Yeah, I'm quite ill. As a result, my thoughts might be a little bit muddled. But I think I did a normal video. So, take care, guys. Hopefully I'm going to see you next Thursday. So yeah, take care. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to leave a comment. Take care. Ta-ra.